ESL Games, Unit 1, Overview and Understanding. Section 1. Why do we use games? When children learn their first language, they listen more than trying to speak. They watch mummy and daddy and copy them with actions like grabbing, touching, holding, looking, and hitting. Using activities and games in class helps recreate this early learning environment that they use to build up their first language. Our task as teachers is to understand that language learning is hard work and it's boring. We need to create games integrated with the lesson plans to help and encourage our many learner types to sustain their interest and work. This reasoning will also help the students to see learning as meaningful. As well as this, games help students to make and sustain the effort of learning. If executed correctly, games provide language practice in the various skills: speaking, writing, listening, and reading. They encourage students to interact and communicate. They create a meaningful context for the language use, and more importantly, they inspire students to learn without knowing that they are. Moreover, inputting the correct game or activity at the right moment can make the students so excited and interested that they want to speak, listen, write, just to take part. As a teacher, you must take advantage of this time to create the perfect balance of learning and fun. So remember, the children want to take part, and in order to do so, must understand what others are saying or have written, and they must speak or write in order to express their own point of view or give information. This forces them to process and learn just to be able to participate. Again, we are making them learn without them realizing that they are. Finally, games designed specifically for the purpose of educating and stimulating language production can motivate self-learning and problem-solving skills to a great extent. Game-based learning plays an important role in teaching by making students collaborate, cooperative learning, communicate, student-student interaction, critically analyze, and work in teams. The point is, strategically used games improve the functioning of social development and build an overall cohesiveness of a classroom. The students learn to trust the teacher, they build relationships, and as a result, the teacher gains more control via classroom management and over the learning outcomes. Section 2. The Learning Styles. Now, there are many different ideas on learning styles within the classroom. Howard Gardner's 1983 concept of multiple intelligences is commonly viewed as the standard model for classroom learning styles. In general, the three main types that people fall into are kinesthetic, auditory, and visual. So, let's go over some of these types together and learn more about them. Number 1. Visual learners. These learners need to see the teacher's body language and facial expressions to fully understand the content of a lesson. They tend to prefer sitting at the front of the classroom to avoid visual obstructions, and they may think in pictures and learn best from visual displays. They often prefer to take detailed notes to absorb information. Number 2. Auditory learners. They learn best through verbal lectures, discussions, talking things through, and listening to what others have to say. Auditory learners interpret the underlying meanings of speech through listening to tone of voice, pitch, speed, and other nuances. Written information may have little meaning for these guys. These learners often benefit from reading text aloud and using voice recorders. Number 3. Kinesthetic learners. Kinesthetic learners learn best through the hands-on approach, actively exploring the physical world around them. These guys may find it hard to sit still for long periods of time, and they may become easily distracted. These guys are the ones who are going to be your most competitive students and will always love active games and TPR-based drills. They want to be out of their chair, dancing, chanting, marching, singing, and doing all the active things within the classroom. As a teacher trainer, I often get asked, how do you know the kinds of learners that the students are in your class? This is about identifying and understanding your students. It's based very much on teachers' observations during class time, and it can take a little time to identify the types within one class, especially if you have many new classes or are new to teaching. The teacher needs to use observational clues from the student's classroom behaviour to get an indication of what category they are. For example, auditory learners may be asking a lot of questions more than others, or maybe they mumble a lot while they're doing written work and constantly put up their hand to get your attention. Visual learners, on the other hand, may excel at matching games, identifying flashcards really quickly, or just are very interested in videos or reading parts. The kinesthetic learners are generally your most active, always wanted to touch or hold or grab. They will love sports and any competitive games, and usually like art projects or things where they can get their hands dirty. Once you identify whether your students learn primarily by looking, listening or doing, you can help shape their educational experience by creating activities for their learning style. So basically, it's about knowing your students. Knowing your students' preferred learning styles will help you match appropriate and meaningful tasks, activities, and games to your lessons and lesson plans. Teachers in general need to understand that people differ consistently from each other in the ways of processing information. It is our job to deliver lessons that are suitable for all types of learners. Section 3. Advantages of using games. Constantinescu in 2012 in his book Learning by Playing stated some of the advantages of using games. Number 1. Games build up learners' English repertoire in a familiar and comfortable environment. Number 2. Games increase motivation and desire for self-improvement. Number 3. Challenge and competition are key factors for any game, and students pay more attention to completing the tasks. Number 4. Games develop students' ability to observe. Number 5. Games develop critical thinking, problem solving, and imagination. Number 6. Games offer new and dynamic forms of teaching, practicing, which replace the traditional worksheets. Number 7. Games are adaptable for different levels of knowledge. Number 8. Immediate feedback both for the student and teacher. Number 9. The results are visible, sometimes both visual and acoustic, and learning outcomes have a stronger impact. Number 10. The rules are known from the beginning and are respected, which leads to overall class control and management. As well as this, games are a great reward system in their own right, and they motivate constant attention and interest in the class. Games are a great tool to use if you have a low class energy, or if they need a boost, or if they just need a brain break. However, knowing when to use games, what type of game to use, what style, and what outcome you require is also equally as important. Section 4. When to use games and activities. Okay, so let's consider the difference between games and activities. Most people consider that a game is an activity with structure or rules. Games will usually have clear winners, losers, or a scoring system, and games will have a time limit or a time period in which it will be done. Example, Hangman. You would set aside 5 to 10 minutes to play this type of game. On the other hand, activities will be some sort of exercise or method of doing something to make it more fun or interesting. For example, cutting and pasting, speaking and spinning, chanting, marching, making the drills more entertaining. Activities have the ability to be quickfire and spontaneous and build excitement for more boring parts of the lesson. For example, when you're drilling, you could say the word 10 times loudly, and then 10 times quick, and then 10 times like a girl, and then 10 times like an old man. Whatever you decide to make it more active and fun. Adding an activity or a game at the right moment can be the difference between a successful class and an unsuccessful class. A successful class is a motivated, energized, happy, excited, plenty of output and zest, and they retain the information. An unsuccessful class would be lazy, tired, uninterested, distracted, unwilling to try, with no grit and no motivation in them. As a teacher, you need to feel the energy levels of your class and assign appropriate activities and games to help control the atmosphere. Games are not just there to be used as a short warm-up or activity at the end if there's some time. Kim Lee, in her 1995 book Creative Games for the Language Class, observed that games should not be regarded as marginal activities filling in odd moments when the teacher and class have nothing better to do. Games ought to be at the heart of teaching foreign languages. Rickson suggests that games should be used at all stages of the lesson, provided that they are suitable and carefully chosen. As well as this, Tyson, in his 2000 book Serious Fun, Using Games, Jokes and Stories in the Language Classroom, talks about how we choose games. Games must be more than just fun, he says. A game should involve friendly competition and should keep all the students involved and interested. A game should encourage students to focus on the use of language rather than on the language itself, and a game should give students a chance to learn, practice, review specific language and materials. Finally, there are some more things that we have to consider when we choose a game. 1. Choose an age-appropriate game. Obviously, higher levels can do higher level things, younger levels need to do easy basic things. 2. Play games that involve memory. Card games such as Old Maid, Crazy Eights, Go Fish teach memory skills, counting and language skills. You can print out flashcards and turn them upside down and get the kids to come and turn them over and match them to the word. Number 3. Consider games with large pieces and easily handling for small hands. Large-sized dominoes, decks of oversized cards, big fluffy dice are all good choices. Number 4. Make up different rules if your student needs help in certain areas. If a board game involves moving game pieces by counting, for instance, put small coloured dots in each space. Have your child name the colours for extra points. Or print letters of the alphabet on small blank stickers, then attach them to the spaces and have your child name the letters instead. Number 5. Play games such as Let's Go Fishing, hands down, to promote hand-eye coordination. Number 6. Choose games that are fast-moving and have lots of action. Games that involve counting, a spinning board, or big dice are great choices. Itsy Bitsy Spider, Head, Shoulders, Knees, Toes, In and Out the Dusty Bluebells. These let kids use their hands and develop fine motor skills. Okay guys, that's us done. Great job, thank you so much. I hope now that you have a better understanding of why we use games, the learner types, the advantages of using games, when to use games, and what factors to consider while picking games for your ESL classroom. In the next lessons, we're going to look at essential items for the ESL classroom and, of course, games for listening, reading, writing and speaking. So I hope I'll see you there. Bye now.